All right, can you describe the situation of how you retired?
Well, at the time that I retired, I was teaching at 3 elementary schools. Um, I split my day with 2 of them, and then I had 1 day at one school, and I taught physical education and helped with student council. That was at the end of my career. Um, Up until that time, I taught for 33 years in the system. I did 9 years as assistant principal. I ran a grant for our school for the physical education department, and then I ended my career going back into the classroom to be with the kids.
Okay. And how do you feel now that you retired?
As of now,
Yeah, like the whole process in general. Now that's over, how do you feel about it?
it was the right move. I'm glad I did. I think probably I would say I love it. I love being retired. It's come together for me. It's a little bit of a process, but it was a good thing.
Okay. And we talked about it in class, and I told you about it before, but you normally go through 3 phases when you're going through change. There's the beginning, the end when you end your old ways, the neutral where it's the in-between, and then the beginning about how you do your new beginning, in your case, your retirement. Could you describe what it was like through each of these and what you did?
Probably what you mean for the end would be what my life was like right when I was nearing the end and knowing I was going to retire. I had been at 2 schools up until the last 3 years, and I had my students twice a week. They had downsized, and so I had taken on all the schools, and I had the children once a week. So I felt like my program had suffered a little, and I was extremely busy. So my life was very defined by that job. I didn't just leave that at school. You know, I would come home and do planning and had to do a lot of that away from the school. So my life kind of was defined by that.
And it was pretty stressful, you'd say?
It was a bit stressful, but I loved it. I mean, I loved my teaching, but it had become a bit stressful, yes. And with all the new state laws and, there was just a lot going on, yeah.
And then how about the neutral phase, where right after you retired, and then before, like, you were fully retired and relaxed and enjoying your...
Okay. This is so strange to say, but I had mixed feelings. I was a little nervous because, well, like I said, my whole life was teaching. And I even taught my grandchildren. I taught my children. I mean, my whole life revolved around this job. And so even though we had planned this retirement and I knew it was coming and I had worked towards that all year, planning on how it was going to work, I wonder what that would look like, not to have the demands, the organization. My life was pretty organized and everything was, whatever. So when I started the first part of the retirement, it was, I think it was a little scary. What am I going to do? What's this going to look like? So I would say that was kind of the neutral where you're just getting adjusted to what it feels like.
Of course. Mm-hmm. And then did this all go away when you were going into your new beginning or when you finally accepted the retirement?
My first year, which was last year, it was an up and down as I worked through it and what was it going to look like and those types of things. And then this year, it's just terrific. I love it. It's my life has adjusted so quickly to what retirement looks like for me. I think there's a process of not taking on too much, not thinking you have to fill every minute, because that's what my life was before. Every minute was filled. There was time for school, there was time for the grandkids to come, there was time for family events, there was time to get the housework done, to get the work, everything had to be pretty organized. And so you had to adjust to that. And I think the first year was a major adjustment. This year's it is just wonderful.
All right. Well, during the first phase we talked about, there's about 7 stages of grieving that some people go through. I'm going to start listing them, and if you hear one you experience, just stop me and then elaborate on it a little bit. So the first one's bargaining.
Oh, we better stop right there. As the time drew near, I thought, maybe I made a mistake. Maybe this was not what I should have done. So I started talking about working 2 days a week, which was available. Instead of, like, I would retire, but maybe I could come back and work 2 days a week.
So you're stuck between retiring and fully retired and fully working.
Yes, I did go through that. And that was more bargaining with myself. The corporation was like more than willing for me to stay on, and do 2 days a week. But I really had to talk myself out of not doing that decided not to do that because that's not what my plan was. And I think I was just doing that because I was afraid to let go of what I knew, what was the known.
Okay. How about denial?
Well, maybe that was part of denial.
Yeah, bargaining and denial seem a lot alike.
Yeah, a lot alike, I think. I was going to be a retiree, and I suppose in some ways I was like, maybe a little denial in that. I don't know. Yeah.
All right. How about any anger?
Mm-mm.
Depression? Mm-mm. And how about anxiety?
That's probably the one that affected me the most. I think because the past 33 years, and even through Purdue, and I've always wanted to be a teacher, it defined my life. It was every minute had to be organized, and I was all about teaching, and then all of a sudden, I'm going to let that go. I'm not going to have that at all, and I think I was worried. What am I going to do? Am I going to be able to fill my time? That kind of thing. So I do think anxiety was probably one of the biggest drawbacks to first retiring.
Okay. And how about any sadness?
Not really.
How about disorientation or confusion?
Well, I think so because I was around my peers all the time. I could share things with them, and that was gone. Now, I could still meet them, and we still did, but it wasn't a daily thing. I was trying to figure out, well, what should I join? Where should I go? What should I be in to do this? Instead of just letting it, find its own path. But probably the most disorientation came in January and February. You couldn't get out as much. At the beginning, I was busy all the time up through December and the holidays and all that, and meeting with family and friends and people I hadn't seen in a long time. January and February, I did feel disoriented. I was like, I've never not had something to do. So I think that would probably be one that did affect me.
Okay. And during the neutral zone, many people experience an increase in creativity. Would you say that you felt this in any way or not at all?
Well, yes, I'm really not a artistic kind of person, and I'm not real creative. And one of my first projects was I built a dollhouse for my granddaughter.
I
now,
remember that.
That is truly not me, and so yeah, I guess I did experience creativity. I also volunteered to teach at the preschool 1 day a month, and that was kind of a different age group for me. And so I had to become quite creative with that little crew. And it was very enjoyable, just something a little different.
Okay. And now that you are in your new beginning, you're comfortable with retirement, how would you say you feel overall?
I love retirement. I have to tell you, one of my favorite evenings is Sunday evening, because I used to be running around here trying to have everything done to start the week. And now I kind of look at my husband and say, you're Papa, and I say, hey, I don't have to go to work tomorrow. I don't need to be in a hurry. So I love retirement. I've settled into it. I am doing the things I love to do that I never had time to do before. And I find that I'm so busy, I wonder how I ever did get anything done when I was working.
Okay. Well, I think that answers all of our questions about your change and transition. Do you have any advice for the college students entering employment, or for my professor who is approaching retirement?
Well, for those students entering employment, I really believe I never really worked a day in my life. I loved my job, and you know, I loved a good snow day too and stay home. But basically, I loved going to work. And when you retire, do have a few plans. Have an idea of what you like to do and what you want to do, but don't try to fill every minute. Don't join every group you can and those kinds of things. Give it time to settle in and see what retirement feels like, and just know that retirement isn't not working or doing anything. It's just doing things differently.
Okay.